Pleasant Sabbath to each and everyone.
Pleasant Sabbath.
Okay. And it's a privilege and a pleasure, by the grace of God, that we are here today, alive, and having the gospel of Jesus Christ to make us sin-free. Right? So I will start with a word of prayer. Yeah. Let's pray. O kind and loving Father, we thank you very much for your loving kindness towards us in the gift of Jesus Christ, the divine character, whereby washing us from our sins, making us sin-free in justification, and maintaining us, this justification in us as we cooperate in obedience to your commandments. On this holy Sabbath day, O Holy Father, we grant and ask you for your Holy Spirit of truth to guide us in our discourse in republicanism. And we thank thee, O Holy Father, for having this state in Trinidad and Tobago of Republic, of free society, whereby we can have the opportunity to learn the gospel, to preach the gospel, to bring others to your kingdom, for you are soon to come, dear Heavenly Father. Grant us your Holy Spirit of truth in this discourse today, with much thanksgiving I do pray. Amen. Amen. Today is the day before Republic Day, and as Brother Shannon had said, we are celebrating Republic Day in church today. Now, let's go to my first chart here on the screen. I'll just give a brief history of, a slight brief history of Trinidad. And what, right? Trinidad and Tobago, as you know, was discovered by Christopher Columbus in 1498. And they had Caribs here in Trinidad and Tobago. The Spaniards took administrative or governmental control over Trinidad and Tobago until 1797, when the British came and had control over Trinidad and Tobago. By 1821, Tobago became a crown colony of England, or Britain, the British Empire, and by 1889, Trinidad and Tobago was joined administratively. And this here is from the National Archive, you can blow it up. This is the proclamation which joined Trinidad and Tobago, signed by Governor William Robinson at that time. This is the actual document. Actual document written. Right? William Robinson. 1889, right? Right, so this here, so this is how Trinidad was joined to Trinidad, Tobago was joined to Trinidad and Tobago. Because it is a republic of Trinidad and Tobago. My next presentation here, slide, would be, after that, by 1962, you know, we became independent from Britain. In 1962, this is from the National Archives. This is just a small picture of the signing of the independence. But though we had independence, we were not a republic. Right? This is you see the White House, you see the Parliament here. Right, okay, this is the Whitehall, and this here is the Queen and the signing of the document for independence, 1962. Although we were independent, we were not a republic. Let us go to the next chart, republic chart. So we became independent August 31st, 1962. We became a republic on the 1st of August, 1976. So these are some of the newspaper articles at that time that showed that this year the president was sworn in. We have the Chief Justice, former Chief Justice. We have Ellis Clark, our first president. And this is Isaac Ayatali, our first Chief Justice, I believe. Yes. Right, our first chief justice. So this is from our National Archives of Trinidad and Tobago. And we became a republic on the 1st of August, 1976. How come are we celebrating it on the 24th of September? We are celebrating it on the 24th of September because the 24th of September was the first time the Parliament would meet under our new constitution. So we decided to have it celebrated on the 24th of September. So this is a slight brief history of the Trinidad and Tobago joining together independence and republic. Now, in our Republican Constitution, right, 1976, the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, I'm reading the preamble, the Trinidad and Tobago preamble. Now, the preamble of our Constitution, or preamble of any Constitution, the basis of it is the philosophy of the law, or the philosophy of the Constitution. When you want to know what is the basis of a Constitution, you look at the preamble. And let's look at the preamble of our Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. It says here, whereas the people of Trinidad and Tobago have affirmed that the nation of Trinidad and Tobago is founded upon principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God, faith in the fundamental human rights and freedom, the position of the family in a society of free men and free institutions, the dignity of the human person, and the equal and inalienable rights which all members of the human family are endowed by their Creator. So we see a principle, or we see one of the philosophical bases of our Constitution is that rights, our human rights, or our rights are inalienable, and it is given to us by God. So all members of the human family are created by God and are given inalienable rights. This is one of the core concepts or principle of a republic. Point B, respect the principles of social justice and therefore believe that the operation of the economic system should result in the material resources of the community being so distributed as to the subservience of the common good. So we see here, you hold this your the right of private property. C, have asserted their belief in the democratic society to which all persons may, to the extent of their capacity, play some part in the institutions of Trinidad and Tobago. Recognize that men and institutions remain free only when freedom is founded upon respect for moral and spiritual values and the rule of law. This is a very important point. Moral and spiritual values. And what is the source of moral and spiritual values? The gospel of Christ, the Holy Scriptures. So therefore, you can have civil, moral, spiritual freedom, and you have what you call civil freedom. And if you have spiritual freedom, you appreciate more the benefits of civil freedom. Desire that their constitution should enshrine the above-mentioned principles and beliefs and make provision for ensuring the protection in Trinidad and Tobago of the fundamental human rights and freedom. This goes to the point, or this points to the fact that in the preamble, they recognize that the rights and freedom are inviolable or sacred. The Constitution protects or recognizes that these rights, or these inalienable rights, ought to be protected by government. And this here is the basic understanding or concept underpinning our Constitution. The other parts of the Constitution are the articles. And the articles must be built upon, or is built upon, the foundation of the preamble. So the preamble is a critical or essential part of the Constitution. If you take out the preamble, our constitution would not be a Republican constitution. Plain and simple. Now, my first point I want to highlight is what really is a republic. Because the topic today is republicanism. What is a republic? And before I delve more deeply into it, I just want to give us a minute or two video clip on the basis of a republic.
I asked David Barton to explain further the differences between a republic and a democracy. Listen.
So what is the difference between a republic and a democracy? Well, very simply, a democracy is simple majority rule. Whatever 51% of the nation wants, that's what it gets. Now, a republic is quite different. A republic is defined as the rule of the nation on the basis of unchanging law. That was given by John Locke. It was also given in Blackstone's Commentaries on the Law, which this was the legal textbook that we used in America for 160 years. From 1766 till 1920, this provided the basis of republic. This was our definition. And it pointed out that in a republican form of government, those things on which God had already legislated, man was not free to legislate. It said, for example, in the specific case of murder, man can pass no law on murder other than that which God has passed. God has said everything that needs to be said about murder. Therefore, in a republic, it didn't matter if 75% or 89% of the people wanted to abolish murder. In a republic, it would always be murder because in the scriptures, it's always murder. You see, the legal textbooks pointed out the basis of a republic was the unchanging law of the Bible. Now, they also pointed out that in our form of government, we had many things that our legislature was free to act on. Again, the law book said specifically, it said, in the instance of importing and exporting wool. The Bible says nothing about how to import and export wool. Our legislature can do what it wishes with importing and exporting wool. You see, it was very simple. We are basically a democratic republic. We can decide what we want in certain areas, but with the view of the Founding Fathers, as a republic, a Bible-based republic, there were certain rights and wrongs that would always stand. Murder, rape, all these things that are listed in the Ten Commandments and in so many Old Testament laws would always be wrong. And that's why we were a republic and not a democracy. It was not up to the whim of the people. You see, Benjamin Rush called a democracy a mobocracy. He said they can get on whim, they can go off on a tangent, and in one vote they can abolish everything that we've done. He said we are not that type of government.
We're just going to see another short clip further developing this thought that the founding fathers of America, the idea of republicanism, many people say they get it from the Enlightenment or Plato, but we'll see the biblical roots of the American Republic. Shortly for 1 minute.
Today, Americans have almost no memory of our beginnings as a nation that really drew its values and principles of government from the Bible. It comes as a shock when I suggest that our national founders drew their inspiration as much or more from Moses as they did from any Greek or Roman philosophy or history. Sir William Blackstone, the English expert on common law and the greatest influence on American legal education up until the 20th century, said this: much of Western constitutionalism originated in the Hebrew polity found in the books of Moses. In an election sermon given by Reverend Samuel Langdon, the president of Harvard at the time, he goes to great lengths to demonstrate how America owes its model for government not to the Greeks or Romans, but more so to ancient Israel. His sermon was titled, quote, "The Republic of Israel / an example to the United States," unquote. This sermon was given in 1788 before the New Hampshire State Convention regarding the ratification of the United States Constitution. In it, he observed that the Greeks and Romans were far from being worthy compared to the laws of Israel as to the security of life, liberty, property, and public morals. My book, The Biblical Roots of the American Republic, will help you explore for yourself the Judeo-Christian foundation of our nation and open you to the reality of how Moses gave Israel a republic, not an army.
From these two little brief clippings and from the reading of our Constitution, we can ask ourselves what really is a republic, or what is republicanism? A republic, or republicanism, has to do is a remaking of the Republic for the recognizing that human rights are inalienable and inviolable. Inalienable simply means that these rights did not come from man, a stroke of a pen, government, legislation, the judiciary, or judges, because you know now these days judges make judgments and they make those judgments as though they're making legislation, which is perversion, which is really a perversion of their role. It did not come from nature. So rights comes from God.
So what are you?
Yes.
So then the gentleman is still didn't get it right in his pronunciation that it came from Israel.
Look, well,
That part.
yeah, that part, by saying that.
His pronunciation.
Right, in his pronunciation. But it came from God,
Came from
and God gave laws, the laws of God, the Ten Commandments to Israel. And those laws is the source of the human rights, the Ten Commandments. And God is the source. Obviously, the part we talk about Judeo-Christian, that is totally erroneous. But we don't take any part that it came from the Bible. That's the essential point, but the roots of it is from the Holy Scriptures. That's the essential point we want to take from that. Secondly, we see that a republic views or regards the rights of man as sacred, not to be violated. It's inviolable. Today we are celebrating Republic, tomorrow is Republic Day, and these are the concepts that God has blessed us with from the law of God, from His holy law, from the gospel. And it's because of the gospel we know these things. I looked at government information, the Ministry of Information or Legal Affairs, and they put up the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago. But the curious thing, they left out the preamble. If you leave out the preamble, then you have no Republican Constitution. What is the guiding philosophy? What is the guiding ideology? What is the basis for which the articles of the laws is rest upon? If you have no basis in republicanism, then that constitution is no constitution at all. They literally put it up, I look. They just start off from chapter 1, the rights. But what is the foundation or the source of these rights? God must be the source. It must be inalienable. If it is not, then the constitution, yes, go away the constitution. So somebody going on his side, looking, you see in chapter 1, no preamble. Some years ago, under the president, our former president, Arthur Raymond Robinson, there was a controversy in Trinidad, and he quoted the constitution, the preamble, because at the time, the Prime Minister at that time, Mr. Basil Pandey, former Prime Minister, wanted him to ratify senators, people who lose election, senators. But they have parts of the constitution where say the president must obey the dictates or the commands of the Prime Minister. What he did, he delayed, and he gave a speech on the preamble and said that the whole issue of the law, following the law, must be directed by moral and spiritual values. Many lawyers at that time, many scholars, experts in law, said that the preamble is not part of the Constitution.
That's like a body without a head.
Body without a head. That is me. That's the essence. That is the essence of the Constitution, or of any Constitution, is the preamble. If you look at America, what there is the quintessence of the Constitution there. We have two things. We have the Declaration of Independence, the philosophical basis of the Constitution, and we have the First Amendment, right? First Amendment, or the Establishment Clause. in America. Right? They talk about Congress shall make no law regarding the establishment or the prohibition of religion, etc., etc., and freedom of speech. Now, as we go further, when we look at, so therefore in Trinidad and Tobago, as we celebrate a republic, those concepts did not originate in Trinidad and Tobago. Where did it originate from? In the world, we looked at America. It started there in America by the influence, by what working upon the heart of Christians, Pilgrim Fathers, and Christians. And therefore, they were fleeing or seeking freedom for freedom. As Mrs. White said, freedom for freedom. Freedom, civil freedom, so you can have what, so therefore when you can have an environment where you can have the propagation of spiritual freedom in a free and just society. I came across the article, but I can't find it now. Mrs. White said there was something like that aspect, there was still freedom for freedom, right? So we know there are three types of freedom, right? Basically, you have spiritual freedom, you have civil freedom, and you have natural freedoms. Now, what happens here is that the source of republicanism, the idea of republicanism came from America, founding fathers of America. And the prominent founding fathers were people like Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence. And he declared himself to be a follower of Jesus Christ. Some say he was not a Christian in many concepts, but the ideas that he propagated or wrote shows that the Holy Spirit was guiding his heart, and God could pen those types of ideas that exalts God to be God alone, that exalts man having rights coming from God. And if man's rights come from God, then God is the source of those rights. Therefore, it is God that you have to what you call obey, and not man's institutions or government. Now, in the history of Thomas Jefferson, let us look at Jefferson's Declaration of Independence.
At the age of 32, Jefferson is the second youngest delegate at the Continental Congress. Nevertheless, his reputation as a writer later gets him appointed to the committee drafting a declaration to explain why the colonies wish to become independent of Great Britain.
You know, it's interesting. We now, as modern day Americans, assume it's like this iconic document. But it wasn't born an iconic document. There was an assumption at the time that America needed to do something to put in writing an explanation of what they were doing, and the Declaration of Independence becomes that document. And Congress does what Congresses do. It says, okay, committee, here's 5 guys. Go off and figure this out, 5 guys. These 5 guys go off and sort of discuss what should happen.
One of the 5 guys is John Adams of Massachusetts. But the 2 men like each other immediately. Adams will be the most volatile friendship in Jefferson's life.
Adams is like this canon of politics. You know, Adams loves confrontation. He just wants to argue with you and sort of grapple with things. And you can really see those 2 very different personalities in action.
This is the first of many arguments Adams and Jefferson will have over the course of their long lives.
Thomas Jefferson initially thought that Adams should write the Declaration. Adams said, I can't be the one who writes it. I'm obnoxious and disliked. So it can't come from me. But you are not obnoxious and disliked. Plus, you're a great writer. You should be the one who goes off and writes the draft.
Jefferson has this extraordinary capability to write clearly with a clear eye and really set forth this revolutionary case. If you're going to make an argument, let's pick the best person possible to make that argument cleanly and concisely.
Over the the next 17 days, Jefferson stays in his rented Philadelphia room, continuously writing and revising. His document combines the wisdom of the Enlightenment with the rhetorical skills he honed during his 8 years as a lawyer.
When we look at that document, and what stands out to us is this idea that all men are created equal. It's the preface, it's the beginning, it's all of the grand statements.
What happened is that some of the things we say here as regards I don't agree with it exactly, because how they're seen it, they're not seen it from a truly biblical perspective. But nevertheless, we can take whatever little sprinkling of historical understanding here that we have, but not everything we can take, because of how there's many parties speculating about many things about Jefferson here. But what we can do, what we can understand clearly is that when you you understand the scriptures, and when you see what he wrote, you see exactly what God desired of him. And spoke according to the law and the testimonies. They don't have that understanding that we have. So if we're doing something like this, making a documentary, obviously it will be different as regards how we perceive Jefferson, right? So I'll go to something because I want to. Yes, I want to ask a question.
I just want to add something.
Yes.
Right now, she was making the point that he got the skills at writing as a lawyer.
That is important.
When they can see the man was ready, he was in the spirit of word.
Right. Right. This is another point. Sorry. She said that his skill in his education as a lawyer and the Enlightenment age. In the first clip, I think the first or second clip, no, the second clip where it said, yes, the biblical basis of the Constitution. This one, when we looked at it, we saw that the ideas were rooted in the scriptures. This other clip, the Jefferson, they're saying that it is rooted in the Enlightenment. And if they're rooted in the Enlightenment, if they're rooted from Greece, they go right back to Greece. So that's why I say that everything you see the clips is accurate. But their interpretation of Jefferson. But we know by the guidance of the Holy Scriptures, the Holy Spirit and the Holy Scriptures, we can navigate those things that are not needed, the excesses or the errors, and take those things which is good. Right now, some of these things you have to take it. Not everything it is, take everything like that, just like that, right? Right. So I just go to one other clip. This video briefly explains the types of government that America is. Based upon the concept of republicanism, America has a republican form of government.
When Benjamin Franklin exited the Constitutional Convention, he was asked by a woman, "Sir, what have you given us?" His immediate response was, "A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it." Yet most Americans today have been persuaded that our nation's governmental system is a democracy and not a republic. The difference between these two is essential in understanding Americanism and the American system. Before we discuss political systems, however, it's helpful to address the confusion that has been spread about the political spectrum. Many have been led to believe that the political spectrum places groups such as communists on the far left, fascists or dictators on the far right, and political moderates or centrists in the middle. However, a more accurate political spectrum will show government having zero power on the far right to having 100% power on the far left. At the extreme right, there is no government. The extreme left features total government under such labels as communism, socialism, Nazism, fascism, princes, potentates, dictators, kings, any form of total government. Those who claim that Nazis and fascists are right-wing never define their terms. This amounts to spreading confusion. Toward the middle of the political spectrum can be found the type of government limited to its proper role of protecting the rights of the people. That's where the Constitution of the United States is. Those who advocate such a form of government are really constitutional moderates. So let's analyze the basic forms of government. They are monarchy or dictatorship ruled by one, oligarchy ruled by a few, democracy ruled by majority, republic ruled by law, and anarchy, which is ruled by no one. In discussing these five, you'll see that they can be narrowed down to even fewer. Looking first at monarchy or dictatorship, this form of government doesn't really exist in the practical sense. It's always a group that puts one of its members up front. A king has his council of nobles or earls, and every dictator has his bureaucrats or commissars, the men behind the scenes. This isn't ruled by one, even though one person may be the visible leader. It's ruled by a group. So let's eliminate monarchy, dictatorship, because it never truly exists. Oligarchy, which is ruled by a group, is the most common form of government in all history. And it is the most common form of government today. Most of the nations of the world are ruled by a powerful few, and therefore oligarchy remains. At the other end, we find anarchy, which means without government. Some people have looked over history and found that many of its worst crimes were committed by governments. So they decided that having no government might be a good idea. But this is a mistake, because as the ancient Greeks stated, without law there can be no freedom. Our founding fathers agreed and held that some amount of government is a necessary force in any civilized, orderly society. In a state of anarchy, however, everyone has to guard life, liberty, and property, and the lives of family members. Everyone must be armed, and movement is severely restricted because one's property has to be protected at all times. Civilized people have always hired someone to do the guarding, a sheriff, a police force, or some branch of government. Once law enforcement was in place, the people were freer. They could leave their property, work in the fields, and so on. In short, the proper amount of government makes everyone freer. There are some who advocate anarchy, however, not because they want no government, but because they don't like what they have. They use anarchy as a tool for revolutionary change. The condition of anarchy is very much like a vacuum where something rushes in to fill it. These calculating anarchists work to break down the existing government with rioting, killing, looting, and terrorism. Tragically, the people living in such chaos often go to those best able to put an end to it and beg them to take over and restore order. And who is best able to put an end to the chaos? The very people who started it. The anarchists who created the problem then created government run by them, an oligarchy, where they have total power. This is exactly what happened in Russia that led to Lenin taking total power, and in Germany where Hitler's brown shirts created the chaos that brought him to power. But anarchy isn't a stable form of government. It's a quick transition from something that exists to something desired by the power-hungry. It's a temporary condition, and because it isn't permanent, we eliminate it as well. The word democracy comes from two Greek words, demos, meaning people, and kratein, meaning to rule. Democracy, therefore, means the rule of the people, majority rule. This, of course, sounds good, but suppose the majority decides to take away one's home, or business, or children. Obviously, there has to be a limit. The flaw in democracy is that the majority isn't restrained. If more than half the people can be persuaded to want something in a democracy, they rule. What about republic? Well, that comes from the Latin. Res meaning thing, and publica meaning public. It means the public thing, the law. A true republic is one where the government is limited by law, leaving the people alone. America's founders had a clean slate to write on. They could have set up an oligarchy. In fact, there were some who wanted George Washington to be their king. But the founding fathers knew history, and they chose to give us the rule of law in a republic, not the rule of a majority in a democracy. Why? Let's demonstrate the difference in the setting of the Old West. Consider 35 horseback riders chase one lone gunman. They catch him. And they vote 35 to 1 to hang him. Democracy has triumphed, and there's one less gunman to contend with. Now consider the same scenario in a republic. The 35 horseback riders catch the gunman and vote 35 to 1 to hang him. But the sheriff arrives, and he says, "You can't kill him. He's got his right to a fair trial." so they take the gunman back to town. A jury of his peers is selected, and they hear the evidence and the defense, and they decide if he shall hang. Does the jury even decide by majority rule? No, it has to be unanimous or he goes free. The rights of the government aren't subject to majority rule, but to the law. This is the essence of a republic. Many Americans would be surprised to learn that the word democracy does not appear in the Declaration of Independence or the U.S. Constitution, nor does it appear in any of the constitutions of the 50 states. The founders did everything they could to keep us from having a democracy. James Madison, rightly known as the father of the Constitution, wrote in essay number 10 of the Federalist Papers, "Democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence and contention, have ever been found incompatible with personal security or the rights of property, and have in general been as short in their lives as they have been violent in their deaths." Alexander Hamilton agreed, and he stated, "We are a republican government. Real liberty is never found in despotism or in the extremes of democracy." Samuel Adams, a signer of the Declaration of Independence, stated, "Democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself." The founders had good reason to look upon democracy with contempt, because they knew that the democracies in the early Greek city-states produced some of the wildest excesses of government imaginable. In every case, they ended up with mob rule, then anarchy, and finally tyranny. During that period in Greece, there was a man named Solon who urged creation of a fixed body of law not subject to majority whims. But where the Greeks never adopted Solon's wise counsel, the Romans did. Based on what they knew of Solon's laws, they created the 12 tables of the Roman law, and in effect, built a republic that limited government power and left the people alone. Since government was limited, the people were free to produce, with the understanding that they could keep the fruits of their labor. In time, Rome became wealthy and the envy of the world. In the midst of plenty, however, the Roman people forgot what freedom entailed. They forgot that the essence of freedom is the proper limitation of government. When government power grows, people freedom recedes. Once the Romans dropped their guard, power-seeking politicians began to exceed the powers granted them in the Roman Constitution. Some learned that they could elect politicians who would use government power to take property from some and give it to others. Agriculture subsidies were introduced, followed by housing and welfare programs. Inevitably, taxes rose and controls over the private sector were imposed. Soon, a number of Rome's producers could no longer make ends meet, and they went on the dole. Productivity declined, shortages developed, and mobs began roaming the streets, demanding bread and circuses from the government. Many were induced to trade freedom for security. Eventually, the whole system came crashing down. They went from a republic to a democracy and ended up with an oligarchy under a progression of the Caesars. Thus, democracy itself is not a stable form of government. Instead, it is the gradual transition from limited government to the unlimited rule of an oligarchy. Knowing this, we as Americans are ultimately left with only two choices. We can keep our republic, as Franklin put it, or we will inevitably end up with an oligarchy, a tyranny of the elite.
Okay. This was a bit long, but and again, there are certain things they can take from it, and there are certain things you can't take from it. It's only from through the gospel of Christ, the Holy Scriptures, we can get a proper understanding, as we learn here, about the true concept of a republic and the form of government that America is. There is no way that you can look to Rome, because Rome was never the type of republic that America was. Rome Republic was simply where senators rule or give instruction to the monarch. Right? And it was never based upon the inalienableness of the rights of man. And they never used true God. So you can't look to Rome. Therefore, you have to look to the Holy Scriptures of the Bible, and you look at what is testified of in the Constitution of America and in the Founding Fathers, the writings of the Founding Fathers. Now, so we see that therefore a republic is built upon equality and equity and justice. the inalienableness of the rights of man and the inviolability of those rights. And therefore, we see that America, the Bible says in Revelation 13:11, will speak as a dragon. The beast with two horns will speak as a dragon. Because we know very soon, Christ is coming soon, we see incessant conflict or controversy between those evangelists or false prophets with what we call Americanists, those who for the strict constitutionalism of America against the Illuminist globalists. And there's we see even through the studies by Darren Gibb, we see the constant conflict or incipient war whereby they're trying to globalize America, and whereby the evangelicals and Americanists seeking now to prevent this globalism. It will reach a point whereby, as the Bible says, the beast, the lamb-like horns, will speak as a dragon. So that America was based upon the system of government of republicanism and the religion Protestantism, a religion of Christ. Then to speak of America speaking as a dragon, it means that the form of government of America is going to change. And Satan speaking through government, you have either communism or communism. And in America, it will be communism. And when the religion speaking as a dragon, you'll have the working of miracle working demons to enforce or to deceive people so the government can enforce communism. So you see that incipient conflict will come to a head point to the issue of the mark of the beast. And the issue here is the high point. Is the critical issue or the central issue in the conflict, or the history of the conflict of God against Satan on the earth. His church against the beast, the two enemies of man, the papacy, papal beast, and Illuminism, the scarlet color beast of Revelation 17. So therefore, we see the free republic that we are celebrating today. Tomorrow is Republic Day. That idea came from America, and very soon that concept of a free republic is going to die, never again to be returned, because the issue of the mark of the beast, is very soon. And we see incessant conflicts and controversies are happening daily. Right? My time is just limited, or let's close up. But therefore, in this conflict, what is the quintessence of the whole scripture, the whole controversy? Right? Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 4. We'll read verse 4 and verse 5. And I'll read verse 6 too, right? But let us read from verse 4. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God is one God, one Yahweh, numerically one. What is it, before I go on, what is the controversy? The controversy, as we see in Revelation 13, verse 4, sorry, Revelation 12:17 says, and the dragon was brought to the woman, the church, and went to make war with the remnant of a seed. Revelation 13 shows that the mark of the beast is the war that Satan will have with the church through the cover of the papacy, or the papal beast, and the beast with lamb-like horns that speak as a dragon. And what is the aim or the accomplishment or the achievement that Satan wants through these powers is that worship. is telling us, hear, O Israel, Yahweh, the remnant, to the remnant. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our God, is one God. So therefore, when we are faced with death, we have to understand the preeminence. As Jesus said, the first commandment, hear, O Israel, the first commandment is Yahweh, our God, is one. And thou shalt, and our response to that is, and thou shalt love Yahweh, thy God, with all thy heart, an intelligent, rational worship or loving God by faith. And faith is rational. Faith is knowledge, and it must be rational. It's rational. We use it in our hearts, and it increases the rationality function of the mind. And with all thy soul, your whole being. That is why we not only have that rational function, worship, but we'll also now, in all our whole being, we'll function glorifying God in our dress, in our diet, in our relationships, social behavior, and with all thy might, with all the energies and strength of our body, we will exalt Yahweh as one. And what it means to exalt Yahweh as one, it means in our value estimation, which has been changed through justification and maintained by the Holy Spirit in obedience to the commandments of God, those value estimation now exalts the faith that we have, that will be value estimation, and that faith knowledge has in it the love of God, Yahweh, the divine nature, alone as God. Therefore, this is the quintessence to the issues of the great controversy that is coming. You really worship, Satan wants worship, because he told Jesus, you know, if you didn't bow down and worship me. And therefore he's using that same method, same essential concept, through the cover of the papal beast and the beast with lamb-like ones that now speak, that speaks as a dragon, or that will speak as a dragon. Right? So therefore, brethren, this is a brief discourse, slight brief discourse on to stir up our pure minds, because not everything in the video is accurate. Because for some new people, brethren, but it's accurate, but it intends to gain certain portions of understanding, and with our understanding, we can give clearer picture, clearer understanding onto the whole concept of republicanism. Because in Trinidad and Tobago, they say not having a queen or you have a president and like you always say a republic, they're going to play sports. Nonsense. That is not celebrating republic. A republic, it means to appreciate a free society whereby people is not, the government is not limiting your speech by law, telling you don't worship a religion you choose, right? Come in, if you have property, the government say you have too much, you can take a portion, they say you take this without any recompense. Those things doesn't make a society free. It's only when it's happening, people get to now reflect and say, oh gosh, you know, I mean, we really living under oppression. But when you live in a free society, you take it for granted, then you don't really care a republic there, oh gosh, what is that? That has no meaning. But as a people, we will have the appreciation for what it means to have a free society, because the gospel of Christ makes us free from sin, or sin free. So when we are sin free, we have a deeper appreciation for civil freedom, because we also have natural freedom.
So they're really saying that we need a free civil society to maintain a sin-free life.
Well, in himself, for the preaching of the gospel. For the preaching of the gospel. Because really and truly, when you go to persecution, again the Bible says, and the dragon was brought to the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed. They that keep the commandments of God and have the testimony or the faith of Jesus Christ. So in that experience, that is not free, but yet they are free. Spiritually free. Right? So
could we agree that the celebration of republicanism has to do with the acknowledging that republicanism is a constitutional means created by God towards an end of acknowledging Him as God alone?
Excellent. Yes. So I will amen. So my time is up, brothers, and I hope at least, especially people who are new and who are away, will gain some measure of. I hope I was not speaking fast or too fast, and I hope that brethren understand. And the real essence of discourses is for people to understand and to make things simple. And Brother Aaron always in his teacher, that's one of the hallmarks of his presentation. So I hope I do not have a cheap tip, but I hope, right? By the grace of God. So I will also offer Brother Shannon because I'm long overdue, right? And thank you, brethren, for your support. Happy Republic Day. I will close off with a word of prayer, right? Okay. Loving Father, we thank you for this small discourse. Pray for your continual guidance and presence of your Holy Spirit in us, to the feet of Jesus Christ, guiding our hearts in the truths of Christ, and even in the matters of rights and freedom. Bless the brethren here, bless those who are listening away with faith and resolve to serve you in spirit and in truth. For they that hate you love death. For you are life, and your life is in your Son, Jesus Christ, who gave us His blood, the divine character, the faith of Jesus Christ, in which is your divine nature of love. We thank you very much for loving us, and we, O Holy Father, who many times despise your love, you forgive us, and help us, O Lord, to be committed, even on this republic, that we will thank you as our Creator, and you who deserve to be worshipped alone, because it is your right to be worshipped alone, and it is your right to be the source of truth and the mediation of truth to everyone. And therefore you are the right to be the sole judge, because you, O Holy Father, are all wisdom. Hence you have the right to reign and to rule over our rights, because you are the only one who has the wisdom, the knowledge to direct our rights and freedom. And no creation has that knowledge, no wisdom to govern or to control our rights. Because you know how to really appropriately to each one of us individually. Thank you for your love, for your kindness, for your mercy through Christ, dear loving Father. And who thank you to bless us, and may we show appreciation and obedience to your commandments. Through the faith of Christ, with much thanksgiving I do pray. Amen.